All right, hey guys, my name's Sunny, core developer at Tendermint, and also run the SIKKA validator. Today I'll talk a little bit about a topic that I've been really just deep diving a lot with recently, and I'm really obsessed with, which is the interledger protocol. I'm sure if at least I get this question. I don't know if you guys get this question often, but people, when I say that Cosmos is an interoperability thing, they're like, oh, like atomic swaps, or like, oh, like interledger. So I'll give a brief summary of why I think interledger and Cosmos are super synergistic together. So, brief, I don't think I have to explain this to anyone here, but okay, IBC, what are we doing? We're moving tokens from chain A to chain B. We have a token of chain A, and we're moving it over this bridge to chain B. Easy peasy. Okay, what is interledger? Interledger is essentially, it's very similar to atomic swaps. It's very similar to Lightning. When I use interledger in this context for this talk specifically, you can sub it in with atomic swaps or stuff like that. But really, what I care about here is a way of not try to send tokens across chain. But what interledger and atomic swaps are really meant to do was I have a token, like a token on chain A, and someone else, I want B token on chain B. So what interledger would do is it has this whole cool thing called streaming payments, where let's say there's a service provider there. That one is the service. I forgot what their name was actually, but let's say it's Coil, for example. What I could do is person A will send tokens, stream one payment to a service provider, and then the service provider will stream that person the B token on chain B. And they do this sort of one at a time. And let's say that service provider is malicious. They run away with some of the coins. Worst case, they run away with like a Satoshi or like a very small amount that it's not even really important. So IBC is about asset transfer. ILP is about value transfer. This is kind of flipped because I normally give this talk to interledger people, but here I'm telling Cosmos people about interledger. Forget that. Okay. So IBC. IBC is about stateful transfer. You can do one asset, yada, yada. Everyone knows. ILP, what it's really good at is payments, simple exchange, faster value transfer, less assumptions. You don't, unlike IBC where you have to implement IBC at the base protocol, ILP is not something you need to implement at the base protocol. So now, okay. Why are these two things synergistic? Why do they go together? I think the most interesting one is the interchain UX. So let's say people, how did that happen? Okay, let's say people want to transfer, Bitcoin is the money, nothing else matters. We want to use Bitcoin on every chain, right? If I was using IBC, I could go ahead and, transfer my money all the way to the zone over there. Really annoying, really slow. That sucks. Terrible user experience. Now, what happens when we mix IBC and ILP? What we can imagine is, let's say, how does this go? Okay, let's say SIKKA as an example service provider here. What I will do is go ahead and split up my Bitcoin and have a little pockets of Bitcoin on every single chain. And now let's say a user comes along and they want to they have tokens on that chain over there. If they want to now, let's say it's a DEX chain and they want to move it to the prediction market chain, what they could do is IBC it, over the Cosmos hub, through the Iris hub, and then back all the way up to zone B. But what I would suggest is a better way of doing this is using interledger protocol, where you'd have, that user would go ahead and send a token to me, to SIKKA. SIKKA would send a token to them, and they could do this sort of streaming payment. And what would happen is, sorry, these slides are going really slow for some reason. Okay, and now let's say, oh no, look, SIKKA doesn't have any more tokens left on chain B. What SIKKA can do now is we can use IBC to transfer tokens all the way over to chain A. And so the idea here is to abstract IBC away from the users. Users will primarily be using ILP to move between chains, and the service providers will be using the IBC to rebalance their portfolios as needed so they can provide the best services to their users. How am I doing on time? I'm probably out of time, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm not even going to go into this whole other thing. Just one last thing I want to say One more thing. I run the SIKKA validator. I have this promise that ICE will, before any changes in commission rate, I have to give a 3-week notice. So starting now, here's my 3-week notice that in 3 weeks, the commission rate will become 3%. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunny. I think most delegators won't be happy with this announcement, but yeah. So.